Hello friends, it's John Lone King and welcome to my next episode of From Profits to Properties, where I help you with business tactics that help to grow your business to profits beyond your wildest dreams, and then I teach you how to take those profits and turn them into long-term wealth by investing in real estate. Whether that's your primary home, a second or vacation home, or if it ends up that you're just looking to grow a portfolio of investment properties that you can have long-term passive income from, you're in the right place. So let's go ahead and kick it off just like I do every week with two segments. First segment is going to be based on the business and building profits within your business, running a better business. Second segment is based upon taking those profits and turning them into properties. And today I'm going to talk about the 3 P's. The 3 P's in business are people, product, and process. Now, you may have heard this somewhere before, and if you're thinking about it, you're going to say, wait, I saw that on TV. You did. There was a TV show out, early in the last 10 years called The Profit by a gentleman named Marcus Lemonis. And Marcus went into businesses that were struggling and tried to help them to change their business, to make it a better business model, to overcome the challenges, kind of like Gordon Ramsay in Kitchen Nightmares going in. I don't know about you, but those are lots of fun. Watching him go in to restaurants that are in bad shape and turn them around if he can. Well, Marcus Lemonis was originally the CEO of Camping World. I'm not really sure if he is anymore, but he was part of Camping World. He had grown the business significantly, and he really is a very, very good businessman. And it was assigned to me 6, 7, 10 years ago by one of my coaches to watch at least one episode a week. And I was hooked because it taught me a lot about business, like practical business ideas. I know it's television, but whether it's staged or not, it's really good business advice. Okay. The other show that I was assigned to watch at the same time was the Shark Tank, because that's really about the sales process and having an idea and learning how to take that idea from inception to selling it to an investor and what investors look at and what the market looks at. So 2 shows you want to go back and watch from the last decade, the Shark Tank and I think Shark Tank's still on, and The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. Marcus talked about the 3 things that are necessary in a business, and he really honed in on figuring out which of those were failing, which of them were strong, and it gave him a really quick indicator if the business could be fixed. So if they had, of those 3 things, if they were strong in 2 of them in weekend 1, he would help them focus on fixing that thing. But he said the biggest thing that people misunderstood is how important people and process are, that everybody focused on. I've got an amazing product. There's a lot of amazing products that are sitting on the shelf somewhere that nobody has purchased, or that was an idea. And you have an amazing idea for a product and you get a prototype out there, and then you end up that it doesn't go anywhere. You end up in a position where your wonderful idea didn't actually materialize into the product you expected, partially because you forgot the people part of it, and partially because you forgot the process part of it. I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, and I honestly don't remember where. It was one of the. He's actually working at Anthropic right now. He's a guy, I think he was part of PayPal back in the day, one of the tech guys. And he was talking about a business that he had started 2021. And he said, we had a great prototype of a product. We had iterated on it for 2 full years before we brought the prototype to market, because we were convinced it was the right product. And by the time it got to market, it was too late. They had missed their window. And more importantly, they built a product that didn't actually get feedback along the way from what the people who were going to be using it in the end really wanted. And they kept thinking of ways, actually, I know who he is. He's the guy who created Instagram. There you go. That's his claim to fame. He created Instagram, sold Instagram to Facebook for billions of dollars, and now he works just for the fun of it. But what he said was profound. And he said, look, we created this. Obviously, Instagram worked out really, really well. But Instagram was iterated over time. He said Instagram started out as this product that had lots of features. And then he had great people working for him. He had a great process in which they were working as a team. Everybody kind of dove in and helped each other out and filled in when they needed to. And it was a really, really great environment. But they ended up iterating appropriately taking away different pieces of the product to create what Instagram ended up being in the end, which was all about displaying photos and having a better way to share photos and to communicate and create a social world around photos that Facebook was totally missing. And what happened? We all know the end of that story. Facebook ended up buying Instagram and he became a gazillionaire. So where am I going with this? I'm going a couple of different places. First of all, you have to think in your business about the 3 Ps: people, product, and process. Now, depending upon what you're doing, you might be in a service industry. You might say, John, I don't have a product because I'm in the service industry. I am a consultant, but your product is you then. Now, you might be in a physical product environment where you're building an app or you're building a physical product. You're coming to market with something that's a gadget and you're physically building it. Well, then your product is something tangible. Or if it's software, it's something intangible, but it's still somewhat tangible. But for a lot of people, it's just plain you. In the mortgage industry, my product, more than anything else, is me. Like how I deliver advice, how I care for my clients. I am the product that I am selling. The truth is, you can go anywhere to get a mortgage. I'm not selling the house. I'm not going out there and finding you the home. I'm not really selling you the loan. Like the loan itself, I don't service over the life of the loan. What I'm selling you is the intangible, the invisible. There's a book called Selling the Invisible. Jump into a lot of different places today, but this is really good. I like this topic. I think it's critical to really understand the 3 Ps. So when it comes to your product, you don't get to dismiss it and say, well, no, I don't have a product. I'm not a physical product business. I'm a service-based business. Then the outcome of your service is the product, or you as the provider of the service are the product. Either way, you have a product. How do you package your product? What does your client say about your product? What does your prospective client say about your product? What does the market need? You have to figure out what need you are filling. And if you're filling a need that everybody else fills the same way, then you are no different than everybody else. So you have to say, who is my target? Who am I trying to go after? I've been thinking about this a lot. And I've been thinking about in my business as I'm continuing to grow and to try and build my business and achieve goals that I want to achieve. And I was listening to somebody a couple weeks ago talk about the theory of being a generalist versus being a specialist. And it really was profound for me. Because when you think about it, you go to the doctor, your doctor is your generalist. And you go to the doctor and say, Doc, I got a problem, my shoulder hurts. And the doctor says, great, maybe we'll get you to physical therapy. Maybe we'll get you to orthopedic. I'm not really sure. Let's start with an x-ray and go from there. So he's not ultimately the person that's going to take care of you. He's going to send you to someone else. He's the filter. He's the hub, but he's the filter. And the problem is that you can't charge a whole lot for that service. Now, doctors get to charge a whole lot. But the truth is medical doctors charge this much, medical specialists charge this much. Because the specialist gets to charge more. And for those of you who aren't on video, I was saying that the specialist gets to charge more. Why? Because they have a specific set of skills that accomplish the goal that solves the problem that you have presented with. And so you have to think about yourself and say, am I a generalist to my clients? Or am I a specialist? Now, we need generalists, but generalists generally don't get paid as much as specialists. And you can have multiple personas in your business. You can be a generalist to this category or subcategory of clients. But as you're looking to market and bring on new clients, maybe you want to be a specialist. That's where you have to think about your product and what you're selling. Am I a generalist or am I a specialist? Is a really good way to figure out how you can differentiate your product, what it is that you are selling, and are you selling a specific solution to a specific problem to a small subset of people? If you do, your messaging, your advertising is easier to be heard through the noise of advertising compared to a generalist. Generalists don't necessarily advertise, or they're not very successful at it, because nothing is different between one generalist and the other. But as a specialist, if you can figure out how to come up with your target audience and how to actually find them, they have to be able to be discoverable. You can say my target audience is anybody who has 2 left feet. Okay, but how do you figure out who those people are? How do you market to people with 2 left feet? Where do people with 2 left feet hang out? Now, Maybe you're talking about literal two left feet. Maybe you're talking figurative and you teach dancing. The fact is you have to know, where do these people hang out? What publications do they read? What demographics can I utilize to find them? Because you can't advertise and find somebody if you don't have the ability to segment them out of the rest of the market population. So product. Product is critical for you to think about, what am I selling? People. People have intertwined into this a lot, which is people is all about who are you serving? And more importantly, who's helping you serve them? If you have great people on your team, you're going to have far and away greater success than you will by having B or C players on your team. So you have to think about, would I hire this person again today? If not, I'm not telling you to fire them today, but I'm telling you, maybe they're not the right person, or maybe they're the right person in the wrong seat on the bus. You are creating a bus within your business. Whether that be internal employees, or whether that be vendors and external partners that you utilize for certain services, you got to make sure you got the right people on your bus and that they're all in the right seat. All right, so we've covered people, we've covered product, process. You have to wait until next week. We're going to have a full episode talking about process next week. So hang on. We're going to switch gears and we're going to get to the second part of the episode here in just a minute after this commercial break. So hang tight, come on back, and we'll see you in just a second to talk about building wealth through real estate. Hello, friends. I just wanted to interrupt our episode today really quickly to talk to you about our multi-unit property loan program. We can loan on up to 10 units of residential properties. And as a matter of fact, even commercial use of some of that space is allowed, as long as it's restaurants, retail, or office space, and that it is less than 49% or up to 49% of the space, and the rest of it is going to be residential units. We can lend with as little as 25% down payments, and we don't care about your income for anything other than the rental income from the property. These properties typically cash flow really, really well. So if you're looking to expand your portfolio, look beyond just 4-unit properties and get yourself to 5 or 8 or even 10 units through my multi-unit investment property program. Welcome back, friends. For the second half of our episode, we're actually going to repeat the topic of the first half, but about real estate. So we're going to talk about people and we're going to talk about product. Now, from a product side, there's lots of different products. I actually went through it a month or so ago, but all the different products in the real estate world, and whether you're going to get a single family home or a condo or a 4-unit or an 8-unit property. So I'm not going to talk about that side of the product. I'm really going to talk about how the product helps you accomplish your goal. And so you really have to think more strategically through this. Think about, why am I buying a home? What's my reason for wanting to have this home? And how is that home going to fit into my future goals? And so maybe it's about location, because in real estate, it's about 3 things: location, location, or location. So location is absolutely critical. Maybe it's about functionality. What is the function of this property? But you got to think about the function of the property in the context of how you're going to use it. A property that is a great primary residence may not make a great rental property. Talked about that on one of my earlier episodes as well. The accidental rental may not be the right rental property. So if you want more information on that, listen to, I think it's episode 2 or 3 about the accidental rental. But enough about episode 2 or 3. What I'm talking about here is understanding how the product fits into what your goals are. And so you want to look at it. A home is a home. It's emotional. It's not something you're going to sell like you would a stock because, hey, Tesla stock went up or down yesterday and I'm going to sell it. We live in it. We create memories here. It's part of our life. It's part of our future. It's part of our past and our present, but it's also part of your planning. And so you have to understand that a house is also just a statistical home that has features and functions for you. And you have to think about the product that way and understand, hey, if I'm buying a vacation home, do I really need all the same amenities that I have in my primary home? Maybe. How are you going to use it? If I'm buying investment properties, do I want the house to be the same as what I would live in? Probably not. Now, do you want to be a slumlord and have a horrible property that you wouldn't live in or anybody you know? No. But think through the eyes of your audience. Think through the eyes of the people if you're an investor, who are going to be using that property and try and pick products that fit their needs, to fit their circumstances, because you're not buying something for you to live in. You're not buying something that you and your spouse would think is a fantastic property and fixing it up to all of your personal standards. You're buying something for a particular purpose, and make sure you keep that purpose in mind when you think about the product that you're buying. Now, the last piece of this is people. I'm going to talk about process next week. So next week, I'm going to talk about process on the business side. I'm going to talk about process on the real estate side. But when it comes to people, people is way underrated when it comes to picking your people that are on your side in the real estate world. The fact is that 75% of the transactions go through just fine with no hiccups and issues whatsoever. But half of those go through fine because you had great people who ran around behind the scenes and solved all the problems before they came up. And so just because a transaction goes smooth, you're like, oh my gosh, I can use anybody because real estate is easy. Maybe. Or maybe the people you had on that transaction were true professionals that understood what they were dealing with and were able to navigate those waters, so you never saw any of the turbulence that happened. But you're also going to have transactions that are going to have turbulence. And when you have the right people in place, those people are going to jump in and help you solve those challenges. They're going to have backup plans. They're going to have options. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I have a client that I've done a few loans for, and the truth is, we had some pretty serious hiccups with that client on his appraisals. Now, everything is my responsibility, but it wasn't really within my control because he was buying in a market that we don't have appraisers in that market. And so we had to go to an outside company, a vendor, and hire them to hire the appraisers in that market. And they were giving us bad appraisers. And we were getting bad reports. And this client said, John, I like you a lot. I love you. I love your team. But this appraisal thing, I can't handle it. Like, this is not okay. And I've got more properties I need to buy because I'm doing a 1031 exchange. I've got $600,000 worth of properties that I still need to acquire. And I can't do that with you if we keep having these appraisal issues. Now, I'll tell you that in a different life, in a different world, in a different environment, I would have said, I'm really sorry about what you're saying, but there's not a whole lot I can do. Most lenders, they can't have any input over the appraisal process. They're stuck. And if you're using an appraisal management company, as most people do, you are at the mercy of what the appraisal management company does. But I was able to create an appraisal panel. And actually, I got that client and their partners, their people that were helping them in the transaction, to give me recommendations of realtors within that community. And we're in the process right now of vetting those appraisers within that community to find 3 great appraisers so that we don't have this problem ever again. So that's a difference that you can make by having the right people on your side. These are things that may never come up. I've never in my career had this issue, and I've been doing this for 25 years. But that doesn't mean it never happens. It means it hadn't happened to me yet. But when it did, I had the right people that I could call because my client had the right person on his side, which was me. So when you think about surrounding yourself with the professionals who are going to help you through the loan process, pay attention to those people. Look at their reviews. Talk to them about, hey, give me some examples of times when you've had things go wrong and how have you been able to solve those problems? Like, really find out, okay? The fact is, a lot of people don't realize just how little their lender or real estate agent know about the process they're about to go through. And that's pretty darn scary because you do this once, twice, 3, 4 times in your life. They are supposed to do it 1, 2, 3, 4 times a month. And some of them, this might be only their second or third time, which, hey, that's okay. We all got to start somewhere. But do they have a good team behind them? Do they have a good mentor that they're working for? Or are they trying to do it all themselves and saying, hey, this can't be that hard, so I'll figure it out on my own? You need to be aware of who is on your team. Who are the people that you've surrounded yourself with? And how do you make sure that those people are the ones that are going to help you accomplish your goals? Because you don't know what you don't know. And if they don't know either, nobody knows. And if nobody knows, you're never going to be able to predict the issue until it is way too late. I have another really good example. I have a client who bought a condo last year, and he was using another lender. He had talked to me, but there was a program out there. It was a grant program that gave a $50,000 grant for down payment, but it was only through specific banks. And I said, go with them. Like, that's a great deal. He went with them, and they undercalculated his property taxes. His payment just went up last month by $800 a month, and they couldn't tell him why. And so I gave him an idea of what happened, and I looked at it, and I told him what document he should go get, and I told him how to read it and what happened, and now he understands. I didn't even do his loan, but the people who did couldn't explain to him. His servicer couldn't explain to him as clearly as I did. It's about having the right people on your side, and the truth is, he got something from that bank that I couldn't offer. Sometimes you're going to have a bank that's going to give you a little bit lower interest rate than what I can offer. And maybe you're going to decide, well, that's worth it because what could go wrong? It's just a mortgage. Well, your payment grew up by $800 a month in a year because they didn't calculate the payment correctly. That's a pretty hefty cost for you to pay if you're not careful about who you select to be on your team. Guys, I'm interviewing to be on your team. If you need help with anything, please reach out. I look forward to helping to guide you as you look to build outstanding and amazing profits in your business and teach you how to take those profits and turn them into long-term wealth. Thanks so much for joining me this week. We'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.